I'm going to go over all of these again. Three requirements. Your garments, same garments that you wore for Umrah, you wear them again. You can get them washed between Umrah and Hajj because they will need to be washed. There are laundry facilities everywhere. The niyyah is important, and then the recitation of talbiyah. The niyyah obviously will be a little bit different, but there's still a niyyah and talbiyah. Three requirements for ihram. So now the niyyah is that there's no umrah because umrah is finished. So now the niyyah is that I'm wearing the ihram for Hajj al-Islam, wajib qurbatan ilallah, for those who are performing Hajj for the very first time. So you wear your ihram, and the 25 prohibitions that we talked about earlier are back in place. This is now going to be the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. Maybe it'll be after Maghrib, so it'll be the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, and you'll be told, go back to your rooms, wait. There'll be a bus list. You're on bus number 2. When they announce on the microphone downstairs, bus number 2, please come down. You come down and you're ready to go to Arafah. Now it's the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. We make our way at night. Again, the reason why we travel at night, one of the reasons, not only for logistical reasons, but for men, we cannot travel in a bus, protecting ourselves from the sun and rain. And so we travel at night. And so we arrive, inshallah, in Arafah in the middle of the night. And we will recommend that everybody rests because really Arafah begins after Dhuhr, after Zawal. Okay? And so, the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has a beautiful tradition, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, where he says, Al-Hajju Arafah. The crux of Hajj is Arafah. That one afternoon from Zawal till Maghrib, that is the core of Hajj. Okay? And if we overexert ourselves leading up to that afternoon, stay up the whole night, recite dua, Quran, stay up in the morning, I can assure you, in the afternoon you'll fall asleep. The heat is so significant. If you have not rested, you will definitely doze off. Even if you have rested, you will feel like you need to take a nap. It's that intense. Okay? So when the volunteers recommend rest, okay? Because you want to maximize the opportunity of that afternoon. That is Hajj, okay? And the obligation for Arafah is to stay in Arafah from Zawal, which is just after the sun tilts past midway. So Dhuhr time, let's say, all the way to Maghrib. And the only requirement in Arafah is to stay there, really. You don't have to be in wudu. There's no other obligation other than, obviously, you're in ihram, your ihram clothes and yourself need to be tahir. But you do your niyyah. Everybody will be reminded at Dhuhr time, perform your niyyah, and then now we are in Arafah, okay? And there are beautiful traditions that say just being present in Arafah and leaving Arafah, almost guarantees forgiveness, okay? So, blessed are those who have the opportunity of being in Arafah. Okay? If you think about it, millions and millions of Muslims will never get a chance to go for Hajj. And the opportunity we have of being in Arafah is actually priceless. So make sure we make the most out of the opportunity. So we'll be in Arafah until Maghrib, and at the appropriate time, there'll be an announcement to say we're leaving Arafah at this time to go to Muzdalifah or Mash'ar al-Haram. And until then, we just wait and rest. Depending on what number of buses we've pulled out of the hat, we may be bus number 1, we may be bus number 20, and you'll be told, we're here until 10 o'clock at night. Go to sleep for a couple of hours, and you'll be woken up. And then we head towards Muzdalifah. We'll head towards Muzdalifah now on the 10th night of Dhul Hijjah. When we arrive in Muzdalifah, the obligation is to spend a portion of the night in Muzdalifah. Okay? For men, it is mandatory to spend between Fajr and sunrise in Muzdalifah. Okay? Now, there's an exception. The exception is those who are elderly, ill, volunteers who are accompanying the ladies. The ladies are allowed to leave earlier. But in Muzdalifah, all we have to do is pick 70 pebbles. Okay, you'll get pebble bags. You'll be asked to, when we arrive in Muzdalifah, you'll be told, go pick your pebbles. And then you wait. You wait for the instruction now. Men, we will probably just, sleep for a little while until we get ourselves ready to go towards Mina, because we're walking. Okay, ladies these years, the last few years, have also been walking because logistically it's becoming a challenge to take them by bus. But it's a little bit of a walk. Okay, an hour and a half walk from Muzdalifah to Mina. So we shall remain in Muzdalifah, men will anyway, and ladies, depending on what the logistics are that are arranged for them, they will also stay, but they will probably leave, I think, earlier than we do normally, in the middle of the night. It's easier for them. They get to the tents in Mina earlier than we do. Men, after Fajr, we will start moving after Fajr Salat until we get to the border of Mina, and we will cross into the border of Mina after sunrise. Okay, at that point, everybody is headed to the tents in Mina. Okay, ladies will have arrived, inshallah, before we will. We will arrive, early morning, and again, then we will decide what to do next. But this is Eid day. Everybody back home is getting ready to go for Eid namaz. We have 3 rituals that are lined up for us on Eid day. Just 3 rituals. First ritual of Eid day is Rami. Rami is the stoning of the Jamarat on Eid day. So what will happen is the men, folk, will be told that drop your backpacks, because at this point your bags and everything are in the hotel. All you have is a backpack that has a few important things that you need for the next 2 days. You'll be told, drop your backpack in the tents in Mina, get your stone bag, bottles of water, and we're going towards Jamarat. The walk from our tents to Jamarat is about an hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half, all because of human traffic. It's just the sheer number of people that are walking, okay? Slowly but surely towards Jamarat. Last year they were managing crowds by sending tents out at different times of the day, and that helped the logistics a little bit in terms of the crowds, but it meant that we were walking in the heat of the day. But it was better logistically than the alternative. So when we arrive at the Jamarat, I'll just show you, this is what the wall looks like now. Sheikh Khalid talked about that long pillar. It's not like that anymore. It's this long wall, and there are 3 long walls. Each of them are one of the pillars. On the first day, we're only stoning the last one. Nobody is stoning first and second. Everybody is stoning Jamaratul Aqaba, which is a very third one. So you'll see everybody congregated like that towards the last wall. So, what are the obligations for Rami? You don't have to be in wudu. Okay, recommended, but not necessary to be in wudu. We're stoning only 1 jamara on that day. The third one, you have to stone with 7 pebbles. You've picked 70 pebbles in Muzdalifah, or you're using 7 of them on the first day. And the recommendation is to try to stone the original section of the pillar, which is assumed to be approximately the middle of that elongated wall. Okay, you try as best you can, and it's actually possible to get close and to throw. And inshallah, we'll talk about the technique of how to do that. You can go around the wall and then come to the back end, and it's quiet, surprisingly quiet. And you'll be able to throw your pebbles comfortably towards the middle section of Jamarat. But there are certain requirements. You have to be certain that your 7 pebbles struck the Jamarat. If there is a doubt as to how, whether one struck or not, then you throw an extra 1. But you need to be certain that 7 pebbles struck the wall. Okay. If they fall out of your hand and they strike the wall, that doesn't count. You'll actually get really close to the Jamarat, and it's possible that it falls out of your hand and hits the wall, but that doesn't count. It actually has to be flung consciously towards the Jamarat. For men, it must happen between sunrise and sunset. For women, on the first day, they're allowed to stone in the middle of the night. So when you arrive in the middle of the night, the organizers will take you quickly to Jamarat before the rush begins. So there is an exception allowed for women, for the elderly, and so we tried to accommodate as best we can, so that the women are not out in the sun for that long of a day, and avoid the rush as best we can. If you have a doubt as to whether the stone struck or not, throw another one, but you need to be absolutely certain that 7 strikes, 7 pebbles have struck. Okay, that's what the wall looks like, and that's it. So after the Rami is completed, the next step is the Qurbani for the day of Eid, the slaughtering of the animal. The women don't go for Qurbani. What they will do is after they have finished their Jamarat, they will go to the tents and they will wait. We have volunteers who will go and perform the Qurbani on their behalf. You will know exactly who it is that is performing the Qurbani on your behalf. There will be lists posted, and you have to wait now until you get word to say so-and-so who was doing your Qurbani has completed your Qurbani, and that ritual now is complete, and you can move to the next one. Okay? So you have to sit and wait. On the men's side, one of the uniquenesses of our group is that we actually take the men for Qurbani ourselves. Okay? Unlike most of the groups that you have to sit and wait like the ladies, we actually take the men folk who want to go, and we gently prod everybody to go for Qurbani. It is your Qurbani. Perform the act yourself. Okay? And it's not that difficult, really. It's not that difficult. It may seem like it's difficult, but it's not that difficult. There are butchers there. They will help you. They will slaughter the animal. All you have to do is really hold their hand. If you can slaughter the animal yourself and you have experience in it, you can take the knife and you can slaughter the animal. But otherwise, what most of us do is, you'll hold their hand. They'll look at you. You hold their hand. You do your niyyah, and within 2 seconds, it's done, and you move on. It's a really quick exercise, but still perform your own Qurbani. You have the opportunity to perform your own Qurbani. Perform your own Qurbani. There are requirements as to what the animal should look like and how sound it must be, etc. Inshallah, we'll cover that, inshallah, God willing, in Medina, how the sacrifice needs to be distributed, etc., etc. Not necessary to cover all of those details here. So the 3 rituals of Eid day. Rami was one, stoning of Jamarat, one Jamarat, Jamaratul Aqaba. Qurbani is the second ritual on Eid day. And the third ritual of Eid day is Taqsir for ladies, Halaq for men. This is now when you shave your head, Eid day. Okay? And again, rituals need to be performed in that sequence. Jamarat first, then Qurbani. For the ladies, they are waiting. When you are told that your Qurbani is done, now you can proceed to the next act for Eid day, which is Taqsir. In our case, if you chose not to come with us and you're waiting in the tents, you wait until your agent or your representative has performed your Qurbani, then you can move to Halaq. But for those of us who are doing our own Qurbani, we have performed our Qurbani, we go now, find a barber, there are lots of them on the streets there. You get back into Mina because the slaughterhouse, the abattoir is outside Mina right now. So we don't have a choice but to go out of Mina, get our slaughtering done, come back in, and then you get your head shaved. Make sure so you cannot shave your head earlier. Remember we said that after Umrah you have to do Taqsir. Men cannot shave their head in Umrah. Okay? Ahl Sunnah, some of them do. We are not allowed to. We can only clip our hair in Umrah. We are only allowed to shave our head after Hajj on the day of Eid. So on the day of Eid, highly, highly recommended for men to actually perform halaq and to shave off your entire head. After these 3 rituals are performed, remember we talked about the 25 prohibitions while in the state of Ihram. All except 3 get lifted. Okay, the intimacy with one's spouse still remains. The restriction on using perfume still remains, and hunting still remains. These are the 3 that remain after the rituals of Eid day. If your rituals of Eid day are not completed for whatever reason, and we have had instances where there's a delay in getting Qurbani done. If your Qurbani does not get done until the next day, these restrictions don't get lifted. It's after these 3 rituals are performed, then the restrictions get lifted. So whenever they're performed, after completion of these 3 acts that are designated for Eid day, then all the restrictions other than these 3 get lifted. Now, I'll move quickly because I'm in the interest of time. We'll inshallah address questions then at the end. I'll be here for a while, inshallah. Tawaf of Hajj, the Salat of Tawaf, and Sa'i. Okay? These are the next 3 rituals. We have choice as to when these rituals can be performed. On the day of Eid, it'll be a long day. We have completed our Rami, Qurbani, Halaq for men. In women, most likely, it's now mid to late afternoon. It's almost a full day affair, okay? Because there's a lot of walking in the heat. You have to wait in line and so on and so forth. It's a midday to late afternoon completion timeline, okay, for most of us. People will be exhausted by the time you're done. This is the time now you come back to the tents. In your backpack, you will have your regular clothes. You'll have your three-piece suit if you wish. You take your clothes of ihram off. You have a shower. At that point, even though we have a dual-purpose washroom and shower in Mina, it'll still be good. It'll be a long, long day. You'll be sweated for 3 days or 2 days, and you will want the shower. So you have the shower. You put on your regular clothes, and now you have completed the arkan of the day of Eid. There are still a few more rituals to complete before Hajj is complete. These 3 acts, the tawaf of Hajj, the salat of tawaf, and sa'i, can be performed at any time before we leave, okay? Before we leave to come back home. We have a recommendation as to when we suggest people do it, based on our experience on the crowds and the logistics of moving people from Mina back to Makkah to get them done. And when our recommendations, inshallah, we'll discuss when we get to Makkah. Suffice it to say that there are options, and you can perform them at any time between the time you finish your rituals of Eid day until we leave. So, 3 rituals: tawaf of Hajj, and the niyyah the niyyah is there on the screens. It's performed exactly like you perform the tawaf of Umrah. Then you perform the 2 rakat salat, exactly like you perform the 2 rakat salat when you perform your Umrah. And then you perform your sa'i, exactly like you performed your sa'i when you did your Umrah. Okay, we'll cover this. There are also some exceptions of those who are allowed to do it early, but inshallah we'll cover those when we get there. After you perform these 3 rituals, you still have to perform another tawaf in 2 rakat salat, and that is the tawaf of Nisa in the 2 rakat salat. Now, when you perform your tawaf of Hajj and your 2 rakat salat and your sa'i, the restriction of using perfume gets lifted. Okay? So on Eid day, 3 restrictions remain. You perform these 3 rituals, tawaf of Hajj, 2 rakat salat, and sa'i, the restriction of fragrance gets lifted. 2 restrictions remain: intimacy and hunting. Then you perform your tawaf on Nisa and your 2 rakat salat of tawaf on Nisa. Again, those 3 rituals can be performed together, and you can have as much of a break as you want for your tawaf on Nisa and 2 rakat salat. You can do it 2 days later if you wish, no problem. Okay? Once you perform your tawaf on Nisa and your 2 rakat salat, the restriction on intimacy gets lifted. That leaves the restriction on hunting. The restriction on hunting gets lifted automatically on the 13th of Dhul Hijjah. It's just an automatic lifting, okay? But these 2 other restrictions get lifted upon completion of certain rituals. Again, the tawaf on Nisa and the 2 rakat salat performed exactly the same way as other tawafs are performed, other than just making sure that the niyyah is appropriate for the ritual you're performing. Now, this tawaf of Nisa is a critical tawaf in that restriction on the intimacy with one's spouse will not get lifted until you perform it. Okay? And so make sure you perform it before you come back. We've had issues in the past. I have had to do tawaf on Nisa for others who performed Umrah and then forgot to do tawaf on Nisa, and then we've had to do it after the fact. Even if you are performing a Hajj for your marhum grandparents, this restriction is not on them. This restriction is on you. And so even though they are no longer alive, you have to perform tawaf on Nisa because the intimacy restriction is on you. You are performing it on their behalf. So make sure you perform your tawaf on Nisa and salat of tawaf on Nisa. Then we have 2 other rituals, and then we finish the arkan of Hajj. On the 11th, so now we are Eid day. Okay, Eid day is 10th of Dhul Hijjah. We are in Mina for 2 more nights, the 11th night and the 12th night. the obligation is to spend at least half the night of the 11th of Dhul Hijjah and the 12th of Dhul Hijjah in Mina. Okay, that is the intention of mabit, which is staying in Mina for at least half the night. You can stay for the whole night if you wish, but at least half the night of the 11th and 12th night in Mina. For certain circumstances, you're forced to stay on the 13th, but inshallah, we've never had that situation. So 11th and 12th are the 2 nights that we stay in Mina. And then on the 11th day and the 12th day, the 2 days that we are there in Mina, there is an obligation to stone all 3 jamarats on both days. 7, 7, 7. So you have 21 pebbles that you use on the 11th day, 21 pebbles you use on the 12th day, and you used 7 on the first day. So you've used 49 pebbles out of the 70 that you collected. Okay? And the reason why we collect 70, you have 21 left, is because if you have to stay on the 13th, then you need another 21, which the vast majority of us will never need to stay on the 13th. Okay? I don't think we've ever had a situation where you stay on the 13th. But you have those extra pebbles, which is why we say when you go to stone, take 10 pebbles per jamarat. In case you miss one and you need to use an extra couple, you can use those from your bag, or you can borrow if you're really stuck. But the expectation or the requirement is that on the 11th day and the 12th day, you are performing Rami on all 3 of the jamarat. Okay, so these are the 13 rituals of Hajj. We have covered them already in detail. I'm not going to repeat the slides. Just last minute on a few things. One is Salat. We're going for Hajj. And a lot of times you find people sleeping on the plane when it's time for Fajr. Right? Wake up for Fajr. Right? Understand what the rules and obligations are for praying while on the plane. Okay, we are traveling in the direction of Qibla, so praying on the way there is not an issue. A lot of the planes that we travel on have places where they allow us to pray. You can stand for 2 rakat salat. It doesn't take long. You can pray your Fajr prayers and do pray it. If there's a restriction, the Messiah allow us to pray while seated. Pray. Okay. As far as timing for salat is concerned, the obligation to pray is based on the time in the air. Okay, so Toronto time is irrelevant. Emirates time or UAE time is irrelevant as far as Fajr is concerned. Is when does it become Fajr while you're in the air? Okay, that is the time you're supposed to pray Fajr. Inshallah, the organizers will have looked that up and will know that 2 a.m. Toronto time is when it's Fajr in the air. They will wake everybody up. Fajr moves very, very quickly. And so you have a very short window, and the volunteers, inshallah, will wake you up and tell you, it's time for Fajr, pray Fajr. And at every step of the journey, even on the way back, make sure that you know when it's Fajr time or when it's namaz time, and that you have planned to pray while on the plane. The rules for praying, inshallah, we can. The organizers know this. They will. Whoever you're flying with will be able to tell you how to pray. It's not an issue because we are traveling towards the Qibla, so we can just, if you're seated, you can just pray while being seated. In Makkah and Medina, okay. Even though we're staying in Medina and Makkah for less than 10 days, we are technically musafir in both of those cities. It is actually considered to be our spiritual watan, and therefore we are allowed to pray full. Not required, but allowed to pray full salat in Medina and Makkah, both in the hotel and in the haram. Whether it is haram in Medina or haram in Makkah, you're allowed to pray full. And so the vast majority of us pray full because of the thawab associated with praying full. Everybody is praying full, and so we pray full in the entire city of Medina and Makkah. Congregational prayers. Here there's a little bit of a difference amongst the fuqaha. Ayatollah Sistani does not allow us to pray Salatul Jama'ah behind the Imam of Jama'ah in Medina and Makkah. Ayatollah Khamenei, however, does. And so for those who are muqalladeen of Ayatollah Khamenei, you can actually recite Jama'ah, okay? Congregational prayers. For those who are muqalladeen of Sayyid Sistani, he does not allow, and therefore you pray shoulder to shoulder with the Muslim Ummah, but you're praying with the niyat of furada. You're technically praying on your own, although the rituals, the acts are being performed together with everybody. Okay? Prayer times. We have a difference of opinion between our fuqaha and the ulama of the Ahl Sunnah as far as Maghrib time is concerned. Okay? Without getting into the technical details of what the difference is, if you give approximately 15 minutes from the time the adhan of Maghrib is given, when they give adhan of Maghrib, you look at the clock, okay? If namaz does not start for 15 minutes, because they normally give a gap for people to recite their nawafil and so on and so forth, if salat does not start for 15 minutes, when the imam stands up for salat, you stand up for your Maghrib and you pray your Maghrib. Now your Maghrib is finished. If he has started, let's say in 5 minutes, and you will find that as we get closer to Hajj, the gap is very short because the crowds are so large, they want to get the crowds moving again, so within 5 minutes they will start. In that case, you stand up and you pray, because you can't be seated while thousands of people are praying. And you pray, let's say, a qada Maghrib salat, but then you have to recite your wajib salat again, because it was not time for Maghrib, as far as we are concerned. The other prayers are okay. It's only Maghrib that we have to be sensitive about time. Okay, so just be careful about timing for Maghrib prayers. Sajda, there's lots, the turba, which we normally pray on. It becomes a challenge in Medina and Makkah, and without necessarily going into the details of why, everybody knows why. Is it possible to use turba? Yes, it's possible to use turba. When we have, musallas that we hand out, prayer mats that have a straw section where that you can use to do your sajda on. There is plenty of marble in Medina and Makkah even more so. It's less of an issue. In Medina, depending on how late you get there, there's a lot more carpet. So you have to get there in sufficient time to find a marble spot. Okay, so there is, and under certain circumstances, you're allowed to perform sajda on the carpet if you're actually stuck. But the vast majority of us try to get there in time to get a spot. You'll find a marble place where you can do your sajda. Worst case, Sayyid Sistani allows you to do your sajda on the back of your hand. If you are absolutely stuck, you can do that. But if you plan your day, there's plenty of time to get there and find a spot. You should have absolutely no issues to be able to find a spot. And then the last thing is this slide on Salatul Mayyit. You will find in Medina and in Makkah, every day, after every salat, there'll be an announcement saying Salatul Mayyit, because thousands of people or hundreds of people are dying in Medina and in Makkah. Okay, and some days it is one, some days it is children, some days it is adults. They will announce in Arabic that Salatul Mayyit for 2 children and 2 men or whatever, and out of respect, you stand up for Salatul Mayyit. Okay, the rules of Salatul Mayyit. When you attend Salatul Mayyit here, you hear the Imam reciting long passages between the takbirat. The technical requirements for Salatul Mayyit are very, very short. Okay, and easy enough to remember for all of us. There are 5 takbirat in Salatul Mayyit. After the first takbir, all you do is recite Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Okay, easy. Then you do second takbir. After second takbir, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Okay, then you do your third takbir, and then it's a dua that says Allahumma ghfir lil mu'minina wal mu'minat. Fourth takbir, Allahumma ghfir li hadha al mayyit. You pray for the forgiveness of this mayyit. Fifth takbir, and namaz al mayyit is completed. Okay, so you will hear long periods of silence. They are reciting their dhikr between the takbirat. They have 4 takbirat, we have 5. But this is sort of the short and simple version of praying Salatul Mayyit. So out of respect for everybody praying Mayyit, it's not nice to just be seated while thousands of people are standing to recite Salatul Mayyit. We stand up shoulder to shoulder with them. We recite Salatul Mayyit in this fashion. And inshallah, once that is completed, then we can make our way out of the Haram towards Baqi if we're in Medina, or back to the hotel if we are in Makkah. I have gone past my time, so Q&A inshallah we can handle after, because I think we give the opportunity for Habiba and Inayat Bhai to come forward. Recite one salat for me, please.